sometimes you get a feeling about people. And one of the things that happens when you're listening for that still small voice is that it will let you know, and Mary Baker Eddy talks about stuff like this, that businessmen and cultured scholars find that they get, their game is upped when they are listening to this spiritual urging. It doesn't have to come as a voice. It could come as something you see or something you experience, and it lets you know this is the direction. As it says in Isaiah, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk ye in it." That's the still small voice. So he was on his way, with his staff. He's making his way, and he passed a field. And in this field, there was a young man named Elisha. And he was plowing. He was a young man from a pretty, he had some ducats, as we say. He was a little wealthy. He had 12 yoke of oxen. Most people happy to have one ox. He had 12, and he was plowing the field. And so Elijah went over to him, and he put his mantle on him. And Elisha said to him, "What are you doing? What?" Because what he had done was he had manifested to him that there was power, and that it was going to come to him, that it was coming to him. And Elijah said something like, "What did I do to you? I didn't do nothing to you. I just put a piece of fabric on you. What did I do to you?" And they ended up, bless you, they ended up with Elisha killing his oxen and making a big feast. And, bless you, and taking this feast and feeding all of the neighbors and all the servants and everybody in the house. And then he followed Elijah. Well, he followed him. He learned from him. He studied what Elijah had to teach. And that's really important. Jesus had disciples. He didn't have, people he just shot full of stuff. They learned. And the people who were around Jesus also learned. Elisha learned from Elijah. And the time came for Elijah. He felt that his time on earth was not long, and he was going to leave. And so Elisha said, "Where are you going?" Elijah said, "Don't worry, just stay here. I've just got something to do." Elisha said, "Where are you going?" Elijah said, "Don't worry. Just do what you're doing." Elisha said, "No, I'm sorry. I'm not leaving you because you got that look." No. I'm with you. Well, no matter where you go, I'm right behind you. And so Elijah and Elisha started to journey. On the other side of the river, the sons of the prophets were all there. And they were watching because they knew something was up. And so Elijah and Elisha are moving. And finally, Elijah says to Elisha, "Now you wait here. I'm going over there." And Elisha said, "No, I'm going to follow. Whatever." And so they kept moving. Elijah said, "What do you want from me? What do you want when I leave? What do you want?" Elisha said, "I want a double dose of what you got." And Elijah said, You don't ask for easy stuff, do you? Well, if you want a double dose, if you see me when I'm taken away, then you got it. But if you don't see me, then I'm sorry. Can't do a thing for you. So Elijah and Elisha kept going. And then what should happen? but a chariot of fire and horses of fire came down and scooped up Elijah and took him off to heaven. And Elisha was right there. He said, "There you go, Daddy. There's my daddy. My father, the chariots of heaven and the horses thereof. That's my daddy." And the mantle that Elijah was holding, was on him, dropped off. And once again, it fell onto Elisha. And at that point, Elisha got a double dose. And the first thing he did, because the sons of the prophets were on the other side, and they're like, okay, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Elisha took off the mantle and hit the water with it. And the water parted, and he walked over on dry land. And they said, okay, that's good, that's good. Now, the story that I want to say, I want to tell you, there are two. The first one and the second one has something for you to do. The first one, I really love this story because for people who do conflict resolution and diplomatic stuff, this is serious business, this story. Apparently, there was war between the king of Israel and the king of Syria. And the king of Syria kept making plans. He kept making plans in his war room, you know? And he was sitting with his people and making these things, strategies. And as soon as they got there, the king of Israel had a lot of folks right there waiting for them. And so finally, this kept happening and happening and happening. Finally, the king of Syria said, "Will no one tell me who is for the king of Israel here? Because I'm really tired of this mess." And so his servant said to him, "Nah, don't worry. It's not us. It's not us. It's that Elisha prophet that they got in Israel. He just hears what you're saying in your bedchamber, honey. I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do about that." And so the king of Syria said, "Go get him. Just go get him." So he sent, I mean, you know, you're going after a prophet. What do you send? You know, you got a bunch of prophets on horses you can send. So he sent his valiant Syrian army to go and pick up Elisha and bring him back. And so they came, and in the morning, all these guys on horses, and you got to realize that at this time, horses are the weapon of choice. If you have a horse, you got an army. And they had horses. And Elisha was at the top of a mountain, top of a nice sized mountain. And in the morning, his servant woke up and said, "Master, how shall we do? Do you see that? Do you see that?" Getting a little nervous because, you know, that's the idea. People put their hand out, they're going to put their hand out and take you. What are you going to do? You're sitting here all by yourself, two men with no weapons, and there's all of these people around you. Even today, with all these Uzis and whatnot, I would feel a little bit shaky if I didn't know what Elisha knew. Because Elisha had that double dose. And Elisha knew that he could get twice as much from the still small voice. And he must have spent a lot of time listening because it didn't even ruffle a feather. Nothing moved him. He said, he didn't even say anything to the young man at first. He prayed. And he didn't pray for protection. He said, "Please open his eyes. Open his eyes so that he can see reality. What's really going on here?" He said to the young man, Well, I'm getting this backwards actually. First he said, they that be with us are more than they that be with them. We got more on our side than they got on their side. Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. There is nothing here to worry about. And so, the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, it says in the King James Version. And he saw, even though on the ground there were all these Syrian forces, there were horses and chariots of fire around about the mountain where Elisha was. No problem. So, what did he do? He didn't say, sick 'em. He went and said to the captain of the armies, he said, you have the wrong place. And the guy's like, oh, really? Because, you know, when there's no map, what you gonna do? And, you know, when Google gets it wrong, oh boy. And so he says, can you help us? He said, I'll take you to the place where this guy is. And the man is like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so, actually, at some point during this story, he struck them with blindness. They couldn't see where they were. So it was, you know, twice as bad as the Google thing. It was like, not only that, but it's dark, dark night, and there's a big storm, and I can't see anything. So he said, please, thank you, take us where we're supposed to be. So Elisha takes them to the king of Israel. And the king of Israel, not too evolved, he says, oh, can I hurt him? Can I hurt him? Can I kill him? Can I kill him? And then and Elisha says, no, come on now. Just you feed them and you send them back to their master. Come on now, I taught you better than that. And so he did. The king fed them and sent them back to Syria. And there was no more war. How many times are we praying for no more war? So we have answers that people who feel that they have to put their hand out and do something, that's not the answer. There are other answers, and they are proven. They work. So, the other, okay, that's the end of that story. Thank you. Thank you, precious me.